The mystery surrounding Pastor Joel Osteen is finally coming into focus, and the truth is far more troubling than most Americans ever imagined. Every Sunday, millions tune in to hear his polished message of hope, abundance, and positivity, a message delivered with a warm smile, immaculate stage lighting, and the calm certainty of a man who appears to have unlocked a spiritual formula for success. His best-selling books pack stadiums, his televised sermons reach more people than many national news programs, and his church, once the home arena of the Houston Rockets, stands as one of the largest in the world. To countless Americans, Osteen represents a friendly, modern face of Christianity. But behind that smooth presentation lies a deep web of contradictions, unanswered questions, and troubling patterns that have raised alarms among scholars, former staff, and longtime believers who say the public doesn't truly know the man guiding this empire. The image America sees, an approachable preacher promising that faith leads to abundance, purpose, and personal peace, is the result of meticulous brand engineering. But former Lakewood Church insiders say the smiling figure seen on television bears little resemblance to the man who operates behind the scenes. His luxurious lifestyle, anchored by a $10.5 million mansion in Houston's most exclusive neighborhood, stands in stark contrast to the humble, grateful tone he expresses from the pulpit. The discovery years ago of hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash and checks hidden within the walls of Lakewood only deepened public suspicion. Critics argue that the gap between Osteen's public persona and his real-life operation has grown so wide that it's now impossible to ignore. "Nothing you see on television is accidental," revealed a former Lakewood Church staff member who worked closely with the Osteen family for more than 5 years. Every sermon, every gesture, every word of encouragement is carefully crafted. Gratitude, and sacrifice, the staff member continued, but the life he actually lives would shock most of the people who donate their hard-earned money to Lakewood. Scholars have pointed out for years that Osteen's personal wealth and his ministry's methods raise profound questions about whether his version of Christianity aligns with the spiritual tradition he claims to represent. The concerns escalate beyond personal wealth. Religious scholars argue that Osteen's version of Christianity represents a dramatic departure from the core teachings of Jesus, particularly the emphasis on sacrifice, simplicity, and service. Dr. Michael Wilson, a professor who has analyzed megachurch movements for decades, describes the Osteen phenomenon as a systematic repackaging of Christianity into a pathway for material gain, carefully stripped of the moral demands that have defined the faith for centuries. Critics say Osteen's empire has taken the language of faith and transformed it into a consumer product, offering comfort while avoiding any call to deeper transformation or accountability. Even more troubling are the insider accounts describing Lakewood's internal operations as far more corporate than spiritual. Former staff members report that decisions about sermons, charitable initiatives, and outreach were often driven not by prayer or theological study but by market research, brand strategy, and financial projections. "It felt less like a ministry and more like a corporation managing a celebrity brand," one former senior employee explained. This corporate mentality was exposed most dramatically during one of the darkest moments in Houston's recent history, Hurricane Harvey. When Hurricane Harvey devastated Houston in 2017, thousands were left stranded, homeless, and in desperate need of shelter. The city turned its attention to Lakewood Church, a massive, 16,800-seat facility that seemed perfectly suited to house displaced residents. But instead of opening its doors immediately, the church remained closed. Lakewood claimed severe flooding made the building inaccessible, yet photos shared online appeared to show entrances clear and usable. As social media and news outlets questioned the church's explanations, public frustration exploded. To many, the church's hesitation revealed a painful truth: when Houston drowned, Lakewood's doors stayed locked. Insiders say the reluctance wasn't due to logistics, it was due to priorities. Millions of dollars had been invested in Lakewood sound systems, lighting rigs, facilities, and stage equipment. According to a former facilities manager, early internal conversations were focused on protecting property, not helping victims. "The first meetings weren't about mobilizing volunteers," said a former communications staffer. "They were about controlling the narrative. For many Houstonians, the delayed response revealed a side of Lakewood that contradicted everything Osteen preached about compassion, faith, and generosity. This controversy exposed a deeper issue with Osteen's theology, its refusal to grapple with sacrifice, suffering, or moral responsibility. Unlike traditional Christian preaching, which addresses sin, justice, hardship, and the cost of discipleship, Osteen avoids topics that may make listeners uncomfortable. Scholars note that he almost never addresses hell, judgment, personal repentance, or systemic injustice. Instead, he focuses largely on positivity, self-belief, and personal success. Former staff members admit this omission is deliberate and strategic. Anything that might challenge the audience was removed, said a former content developer. The goal was always broad appeal, not spiritual depth. This approach creates what critics call consumer Christianity, a message engineered to make audiences feel uplifted without requiring them to change. Former members describe feeling empowered initially, only to later realize that the deeper moral and spiritual foundations of the faith were missing. It felt good, but there was no substance, one former attendee explained. Religious scholars from across the ideological spectrum, evangelical, Catholic, mainline Protestant, and academic, argue that Osteen's teachings represent a distortion of Christianity, replacing its call to service with a message of personal gain. Jesus warned about the dangers of wealth, they note, yet Osteen treats wealth as the very evidence of God's blessing. Behind the scenes, Lakewood operates like a powerful entertainment company. Former employees describe rigorous brand testing, focus group-driven sermon planning, controlled messaging, and a relentless emphasis on protecting the Osteen brand. Everything, from stage design to the timing of emotional peaks in sermons, is structured to maximize engagement and revenue. It's a media empire disguised as a ministry, built on a message designed to draw the broadest possible audience while avoiding anything controversial or challenging. And now, as former staff, scholars, and critics speak out, the mystery surrounding Joel Osteen is finally being revealed, a story of wealth without transparency, faith without sacrifice, and a religious empire built not on spiritual depth but on the power of image, branding, and carefully engineered positivity.